Today's homily was inspired by a conversation I had with my daughter Friday night, and also a reflection I heard that same evening by my dear friend and mentor, the Reverend Jerry McKinney. And when I had those things happen together and I looked at what I had written for Sunday, I realized the homily I had in mind that I was planning to give was not the homily I needed to give. And so that's not a typo. I realize we commemorated September 11th, but this is about remembering September 12th. A couple of days ago, we commemorated the 19th anniversary of the September 11th attacks. I think that all of us likely remember where we were that day as planes crashed into the World Trade Towers and the Pentagon in a rural field in Pennsylvania. It's always a somber day, but until I spoke with my daughter Natalie, I didn't realize how much I had tried to avoid thinking about it. This has been a tough week. It's been a tough year. I didn't want to think about 9/11 on top of all of that. But then my friend Jerry reminded me that 9/12 and the days that followed, and it reminded me of them and what happened. And there was a lot of fear and uncertainty for sure, but there was also a lot of kindness. It didn't matter what our skin color was, or our religion, or our political affiliation, or our socioeconomic status, or any of the other things that tend to separate us from one another. We were all grieving this terrible event, and we were all there for each other. Our country's motto is E pluribus unum, out of many, one. And for a couple of weeks or so, we lived up to that. We were united in our kindness, caring, and love for one another. And I thought about these things and I thought, God, I miss that September 12th world. It's 19 years later and we are grieving again. The global pandemic is wreaking havoc in our nation and across our earth. As of Friday, over 193,000 Americans have died from COVID-19, over 74 times the number who perished on 9/11. And so we're grieving those losses. We're also grieving the normal lives we had back before this started. We're scared of the uncertainty. Will our world ever get back to normal? And when will that happen? There are all of these question marks. I keep saying to people, the thing with this quarantine and pandemic, there's constant question marks. And just planning this, you answer a question and then there'd be 3 other questions that came out of that. But just day-to-day life, questions, questions, questions. And even when the answers come, we might find ourselves thinking, I kind of liked it when I didn't really know the answer to that. But it occurred to me that what we are also grieving may be perhaps a lack of a September 12th moment. How far we have come from that time in 2001. We have gone from unity to division, anger, violence, tribalism, and yes, even hatred. And it would be easy to point the finger of blame at one person, at one group, at one political party. And certainly there is blame to go around. But ultimately, that's not going to help us, is it? What we can do is ask ourselves what we as a society perhaps have done to let this happen. We can perhaps look within and ask ourselves what we can do to get back to that September 12th mindset. How can we turn away from our divisions and foster a spirit of unity, love, kindness, caring, gentleness, and plain old civility? One way I would offer to help is to go back and look at our universalist roots. Universalism, especially in the modern day, means a lot of different things to Unitarian Universalists. But our origins, our Universalist origins, are in Christianity. And I know it's almost autumn, but I want you to think back today on the Easter story. First century Palestine was known for its unrest, its division, finger-pointing, violence, oppression, people living under the yoke of the Roman Empire. And within that context, Jesus, a man of peace, a prophet, found himself wrongfully accused and brutally put to death. But the story doesn't end there. Despite all the terrible things that happened, the message of that story is that God made a different choice. Love and forgiveness over hatred and revenge. Love and forgiveness that transcended even death. That's the Easter message in a nutshell, and that love is at the heart of traditional universalism. No matter who you are loved and in turn called to love, not out of fear, but out of gratitude and joy. You know, our namesake of our church, St. Paul, once wrote in his first letter to the church at Corinth that if we don't act out of love, then anything else is pretty much meaningless. Love is the foundation. As we continue to make our way through this not quite normal life we've been living for 6 months, may we step back, as hard as it sometimes is, from our participation in the divisiveness. And I am certainly as guilty as the next person in that regard. And may we find the strength, the power, the courage, and the guidance to live up to our universalist values of mercy, justice, grace, most especially love.